Côte d'Ivoire is well known across the globe for its unique culture and position in African history. Also known as the Ivory Coast, due to the Europeans who viewed the main reason of the country was their natural resources, it is a West African nation that borders Ghana, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Liberia, and Mali. While its capital city is Yamoussoukro, the main economic hub of the country and its largest city is Abidjan, which is also one of the largest and most populated cities in West Africa. Côte d'Ivoire has proved to be much more than just its resources. It is a highly forested country and inhabits generally a warm to semi-arid climate year-round. It is also known for its beautiful beaches that are usually flooded with tourists who are seeking relaxation and new experiences. Côte d'Ivoire has also managed to maintain much more stability than its neighboring Western nations. Abidjan has been one of the most highly industrialized and urbanized cities in West Africa and serves as a cultural melting pot there as well. French is the official language of Côte d'Ivoire, and it is home to about 23.3 million people with a dependency ratio of around 83.5. The country inhabits many ethnic groups, with the main ones being Akan, around 42% of the nation, Voltaics, 17.6%, Northern Mandis, around 16%, Kru, around 11%, and Southern Mandis, around 10%. All of these percentages indicate a rather diverse country, and these divisions are even more evident, as Islam and Christianity are the two main religions of Côte d'Ivoire. Historically, Côte d'Ivoire has been a relatively peaceful nation and has suffered through very little political turmoil. This changed, however, in 2002, when Ivorian troops from the north of the country attacked Abidjan, dividing the nation and causing the Ivorian Civil War. This was due to rising ethnic tension within the country combined with various forms of economic decline. As stated before, Côte d'Ivoire has enjoyed relative economic success, with the economy growing at a rate of 9% from 2012 to 2013 and continues to grow to this day.
The landscape of Ivory Coast has a large amount of resources: petroleum, natural gas, diamonds, manganese, copper, gold, nickel, cocoa, coffee, palm oil are few of the natural resources that Ivory Coast has. Ivory Coast is estimated to have more than 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserve. Despite its natural resources and enormous potential for economic growth as a result of falling prices in the value of its export, Ivory Coast remains one of the poorest countries in the world. Due to the collapse of prices in cocoa and coffee, Ivory Coast is experiencing a prolonged economic downturn. While cocoa and bean prices have dropped up to 20% yearly, very poor households have increasingly relied on child labor to compensate for the falling prices. More children have entered the workforce instead of schools. The large amount of child labor that entered the workforce has done little to nothing to alleviate the poverty. Today, more than half of citizens live in poverty. The level of poverty is worse in the south. The southern region of the country has close to 80% of its population earning less than $1.25. The level of poverty in Ivory Coast is getting worse. Just a decade ago, less than 40% of citizens lived in poverty. As poverty declines in most parts of Africa and around the world, it is on the rise in Ivory Coast.
But it doesn't always have to be this way. With our program Ivory Hopes, we believe we can boost the economy and standard of living, decreasing the number of people living in poverty from 50% to less than 10% within a 10-year span. Ivory Hopes is a microfinance lending institution. Rather than asking for donations or handouts, which can be unsustainable, we hope to provide a connection between those living in the Ivory Coast with those living in first world countries. By providing a platform for people to make small loans to aspiring entrepreneurs, funding and empowerment can be exchanged for short-term lending periods. Ideas will be screened beforehand to make sure they are well thought out and viable, and participation in the program will also be conditional on 3 rules. 1. All children must be sent to school. 2. All those who participate must contribute a small percentage of their profits to an educational fund, which will help pay for quality teachers and communal supplies. It will also further incentivize parents to make sure their child is studying and taking full advantage of these resources. Those that are unable to make profits in the first year or so are encouraged to take time to teach their kids about business strategies or some other skill to strengthen relationships between child and parent that otherwise might not exist if parents are always spending their time working. 3. It is mandatory that they all attend free health classes that teach about reproductive health and information regarding STDs, especially regarding HIV and AIDS. Participants in the program also have access to regular, though short, consulting meetings with business consultants doing pro bono work. There will also be Ivory Hopes employees working on the ground, providing consistent support at all times. Funding will be provided primarily through grants and donations for our staff and program expenses. The actual loans will be provided through the lenders in first world countries who are interested in investing in third world enterprises. The loans will have 0% interest rates, but we aim to have an average of at least 90% repayment rates for lenders within the first 6 months of providing a loan. The loan can be for anything, from pots to make more food in a restaurant, to more machines or equipment to improve or sustain manufacturing or farming businesses. In this way, we aim to give economic and educational support that in turn can improve the region's infrastructure, healthcare, and living conditions in time.